Okay, so welcome to the Kadiri workshop on deployment. So today we're just going to look at deploying a few simple apps into the cloud. There is a mind-boggling array of options to deploy apps to the cloud, so we're just going to keep it simple tonight and look at some of the most common, free and simple offerings out there. So we're going to start just looking at GitHub pages, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about Heroku, which can deal with slightly more complex scenarios than GitHub pages, and then we're going to talk just briefly about Glitch, and then talk about the sort of offerings from the big three, being Google, Amazon and Microsoft, and just talk about how they fit into the grand scheme of things. But obviously they tend to be more the professional paid options, although a lot of them do offer free options and free trials as well. So first, I think what would be nice is if we had a little demo app that we could play around with. So what I recommend you do, if you haven't got your own app locally on your computer, is just go to the following web link. So that's github.com/Kadiri, and we can actually fork our project from there. So if those in the room, some of you already done that, that's fine, just bear with me. For those at home, if we could just try and fork one of our projects. So these are actually projects that our bootcamp students here have worked on during their time in the bootcamp. So most of them have only had about 3 weeks to make this thing, make this project, and then they've then pushed it to GitHub and either deployed it on GitHub pages or Heroku. So one that looks very nice is one called Seasonal Cuisine. So if you just click on that one, and then what we're going to do is we're going to fork this project so we have a copy of it for ourselves in our own GitHub accounts. So just make sure you're logged into your GitHub account as we go along. And then over here, sorry, do you want me to zoom in a bit, guys? So that's better, isn't it? So over here on the right hand side, we've just got a green box here that says clone or download. So first we're going to fork it, aren't we? Sorry, my mistake. So first fork it to your own repository. So you can just click up here. I see quite a few people have done that already. Hi, come in, just make yourselves comfortable. We just started. So just click here on the fork. And that should then fork a copy into your own repo. Hi, do you need a bit of help setting up, or? Yeah, just grab out your laptop and see if you can follow along. So if you go into your own repository now, and you have a look somewhere, you should find Seasonal Cuisine is there. We then want to get that copy onto our local computer, so we can clone that. You're going to have a couple of options here, clone with SSH or clone with HTTPS. So if you've already got an SSH key set up on your computer, then that's okay to use the SSH version. If not, just use HTTPS and it will prompt you for a username and a password each time that you use that you push or pull from that repo. So we can just click the link here to copy that, and that will get us our address. Then if we go down to Visual Code Studio, I'm just going to open a new file so I can do the steps with you. And I'll just clear this. So once you've got Visual Studio, your code editor of choice, open, just make sure you open a new terminal. So you can do that from the menu or use the shortcut. Once you've got that, we can type git clone. Well, just make sure you're in the directory that you want to be in for starters. So maybe just list where you currently are. So a lot of people might be in their sort of home user folder, so we can just list where we are with ls. And they might be in their home folder, so maybe they want to put it in their documents. what we could do is we could change our directory into our documents, so just cd and then type your documents. And this is the place where we're going to clone that, that GitHub project that we've just copied the link for. Say again, sorry? The GitHub link. So it is on the Kadiri live stream, or you could just type in github.com/Kadiri. But probably what you're best off doing now is going to the live stream. So type kadiri.com/live. And that will ask you to register. And just go through that process. And then you'll be able to view this recording at any stage. Sorry, I've just clicked on that. Let me just mute that. Okay. Yeah, and if you follow those few steps, that should give you the GitHub link there, and then you'll be able to catch up with where we are. All right. So what we want to do now, once we've selected the folder we're going to put our project in, we use the command git clone and then paste in that link that we got from GitHub. If we hit enter now, that will clone that repo into there. And if we have a look now in your documents, you should see a folder called Seasonal Cuisine, which is just the demo project we'll be playing around with tonight. So we can again just cd into there. And we can see that's got some folders. If you didn't have anything open currently in Visual Studio, we can just actually make sure we open that folder as well. So I saved it in Documents and then in Seasonal Cuisine. Just OK that. And that will bring up all the files there for our project. Most of the project files are stored in here in the source. And then usually we've got a main app component. If you could just mute your sound if you're in the room, thanks very much. So you can replay that video and just look at the description below, or just listen to it with headphones, and that'll catch you up, and then join us when you're ready. Thanks. Cool. So this is our main project now. So we can. Does anyone want to install it locally as well? So like get a local running instance. Has anyone done that, or would you like to see that? Yeah. So this was actually a project that was built in React. So if some of the notation doesn't look familiar to you, that's why. As you can see up here, they're installing their dependencies. So what we can do to make sure, so I'm just going to open my terminal again. So there should be a package.json file in the files that you've downloaded. And we can see in here there's some dev dependencies and some normal dependencies. So our project won't run without these dependencies installed on your system. So to make sure that's the case, you've all got Node now, so we can just run the command npm install. You could abbreviate that to npm space I, and that would do the same thing. Hit enter there, and that will start the process of installing all your dependencies for this project. That will take a little bit of time to run, so just do that with me and let me know when it's finished running on your computer as well. So the idea of doing this, obviously, if there's some code that you're interested in on GitHub, we now know the process to go and get that code from someone else's repository, fork it from their repository, get our own copy, and then clone that so we've got the copy locally, and then we can make changes, play around with the project, and then maybe in the future we might want to actually do some pull requests on that project if we're working on an open source file base, things like that. So that's finished running on mine. How's everyone doing? Are we still running a little bit? Yeah, okay. So once we've got that all installed locally, what we can do is we can just get a local instance running, and then we'll be able to see the changes before we push any changes back to GitHub and deploy it. So this is just an idea. Can we get the project working locally, make some changes to it before we actually deploy it? Yeah, so that's the step we're doing now. Any problems? Just shout out or stick your hand up if you've got some problems. Sorry, lady, you just came in towards the end. Are you okay? Do you need any help? Yeah, you're right now. All right, Helder? Yeah, npm installed or not doing it with? Just going to watch. No worries.
Question,
yeah.
Is this only installing dependencies or is this installing other stuff as well?
No, so this is just installing the dependencies that are listed in the package.json files. So if the owner of the project had actually missed off one of the dependencies and not saved it to the project files, then the app possibly wouldn't work, you know, if that dependency was critical. So no, it's just getting the dependencies from the package.json file. Yeah. All right. So to get just a local instance of that running, down here we can see in the package.json we have some scripts. So we should be able to run npm start, fingers crossed, and see what happens. Oh, I've already got something running, so I'm actually just going to run that on another port. And this should open up a window in your browser and hopefully display the project that we have just downloaded or cloned. There we go. So has everyone got that screen? Yeah, I'm seeing some flashing up. So now we've successfully cloned a project from GitHub and we've got our instance running locally. Now what I was thinking we could do next is, I mean, I'll just talk you a little bit through the app. So the idea of what they wanted to create here was, yeah, look at the dishes, the recipes from a range of countries. So they did it around Christmas time, so seasonal cuisine. So what sort of food do they eat in lots of different countries around the world? So they started putting some recipes in their database from China, Bulgaria, Romania, Pakistan, Trinidad and Tobago. Obviously we can add more countries to that, and then just maybe filtering as well by certain dietary restrictions and what course you want to eat. And then they've done a nice little visual display down here. When you hover over it, you can see what country it comes from, and obviously the name of the dish. Clicking on that gets you some details as well. So what I was thinking we could do, just to make some very simple changes without destroying their app, but it doesn't matter because you're not going to destroy their app now because you've got your own local copy. So you're only going to destroy your own local copy now. So what we could do is maybe just create a new country in their list, in their drop-down menu, something like that. I'm open to ideas, but if you're happy with that, we can roll with that. So I'm just going to search. I think they used option in their drop-downs. So what we got here? So this is where all their data is. So that's their CSS. Where's their actual? Okay, so this is in the file dropdown placeholder.js, and that's the path to it there. So it's in their source components, home, dropdown, and so on. So you can either find it that way or just search a certain term as I did. And then they've just hard-coded their options in here. So, have we got any different nationalities in the room other than those tonight? Anyone want to volunteer their nationality? Tunisia? Fantastic. Excellent. So, I'm just going to write a new option in there. So, we can use the line above as a template. And we'll just change Pakistan to Tunisia. Is that correct spelling? Yeah, awesome. And so that was just to give it a value so we can reference it, and this is what will actually appear. So Tunisia. Okay. And I think this is a, yeah, so we should just be able to see that change updated now. So if I go back to Google, or have I broken it? No, I haven't broken it. Okay. So if we go to select country now, we do see Tunisia at the bottom of the list there. So we just made a really simple change. Yeah, but it just gives you an idea. I mean, I won't talk too much about the file structure. We do another workshop on React as well if you want to come along to that. And there we do build a React project from scratch. But we'd obviously talk about components and just editing the React files a lot more. But basically you can see they've created a component here just to hold their drop-down menus. So it makes it nice and easy. If they want to change something, just go to that component. If you want to change the drop-down, just go to that component. And it makes it a lot easier. So that file is only 38 lines long rather than having a file of, I don't know, 2,000 or more. Yeah, let's make it readable. Let's make it nice and concise and easy to update and maintain. Yeah, so that's the idea of putting everything in separate components like that. Cool. So now we've done just a very, very basic change. Let's actually talk about deploying that. Let's say we were happy with that. Let's talk about, okay, we've come up with an idea. How can we deploy this app to the cloud so that anyone with a certain URL can access that from anywhere in the world? Now, personally, I think that's an amazingly exciting part of developing. The first time you get to deploy something, and the first time you deploy your first website, let's say, as two people in the room perhaps want to do tonight, then finally you've got something, it makes it real, and anyone in the world can just type that URL and see your project, all your hard work. So I think that's an incredibly rewarding part of development. So, how are we going to do that? Well, the first option we're going to look at is just GitHub pages. So by now you should all have your GitHub account. I'm trying to find mine up here. I think it's that one. And you should have a seasonal cuisine repository. Yeah. That's my lovely picture there for you all at home. And I was already in it, but I'm just showing you the steps again to get back there. So your name here, or your GitHub username, and then followed by a seasonal cuisine. And what we can do is we can just go into settings. We can scroll down, and there's actually a section called GitHub pages. They make it very easy to deploy any simple site that you've got set up on GitHub, any repo that you've got, to convert it into an actual site. And you can see here, this little link says your site will be published at https your username .github.io/the repository name. So that's just standard. If you want to use the free service, then you are limited to that name. You know, you can't buy a domain name and then set it as a custom URL and things like that. You are limited to that URL there. So in the source, now the project that we've downloaded, we'll just talk about branches a little bit actually before we do deploy, but the project that we downloaded had two branches set up. So they had a master branch set up, which is your main bit where you're developing your code, and usually that's your sort of final version of the code. And then what you often do is you create a branch just to work on a particular feature and then merge that into master. But with the GitHub pages, what's actually quite good as well, or just if you're trying out a new feature and you don't want it to go live as soon as you push, then is to create a separate branch here for GitHub pages. And this would be the recommended approach as well for deploying via GitHub. So our one was created for us, but we will just go through the steps to create a branch in case that isn't there. So we can do this again from the command line, and we can just use get checkout. Sorry, actually, let's first just use get branch just to check what branches we have. Okay, so as I can see there, I've only got the one branch locally. There's two on GitHub, but there's only the one branch locally. Okay, so to create a new branch, I can use the command get checkout -b for branch, and then give it a name. So we're going to give it a name of GitHub Pages. That will then create that new branch and switch to it for us. And when you're creating branches, if you're ever not sure what branch you're on, you can just type get branch again, and there we are. Yeah, we can see the one highlighted in green with the star. We're on GitHub Pages. So ideally we would have made the changes on this branch and test them on the branch before pushing to master. Yeah. So I'm going to make the commit to first I think we might need to set up some remotes. Let's have a look. Get remote origin. Let's have a look. Have you all got that set up in your projects as well, saying the origin with your username and then seasonal cuisine .git? Have you got that? So to get that, I went clicked on the dots here, and I went push to, and it come up with that. Yeah, well, not yet because we haven't done a commit message, but I'm just checking that you've got it. You did it by the command line. So first you might need to click on that. You might just click on that. Yeah, and then the dots. Is that all you did? Yeah. Have you got the origin stuff? Yeah, guys, if I lose you at any time, just stick your hand up or shout out, and we can address it as we go along. It's not a lecture, it's like an interactive workshop. So if you were struggling to find that, some people I think were maybe still on the file view. So at the side here, we've just got some options on the left. So that was my search that I used to find before. This one in the middle is our version control, or our source control here. So that's what I clicked on to check whether we had our remote set up to push our changes to GitHub. And then I went push to like that. So we can see here in our version control sort of summary the changes that we've made to certain files. So it's just saying that my package lock.json is untracked. That was just created when we ran npm install. And then my drop-down placeholder was the one where we added our extra country of Tunisia. Yep, so that's really the only change that we've done. That one's untracked, so it doesn't matter. I can just click the plus there to stage my changes. So that means when I commit and push to GitHub, that will push just the changes that are staged. And then we usually write a little message in here, so we can just say add to Tunisia to what was it, drop down menu. I'll call it drop down placeholder as they have. Okay. And then there's two separate stages with Git. So first you would commit. So that's just got everything ready to send to our storage control. Sorry, our version control. It's got everything ready to send to GitHub. And then once we are ready, we can push to our origin. So let's try that now. So because we cloned it with HTTPS and not SSH, then it will prompt you for a username and a password. So just pop your username in here. I'm hoping this is going to hide my password, but let's see. Do I know it? Yeah, I might not know that. So I'm going to probably switch back to my other project, I think, that I cloned with SSH, but hopefully you know your password. And I don't want to go snooping for it now and show everyone on YouTube my password, so I'm gonna cancel that for now. And I think I cloned this other one with SSH, so let's have a look. So your remote's obviously not set up properly in that case. So if you type git remote, so did you clone it directly rather than forking it? Yeah. I don't think you forked it. Yeah, so you've got to do that first, otherwise you'll put the changes to Jerry. We don't want that. This isn't that too much, but we've been Jerry, we don't want that. Alright. Alright. Yeah, thank you. So it would get you, you've got no changes to this, maybe you've committed already? Huh? Okay. Yeah, that's commit to input, so you're just trying to push. It's already up to date, so in that case, I'll branch it. Yeah, okay, so Okay, I think everyone's there. Any more questions? Yeah, one more.
But have you tried it with that command or not? That's set up. Before you get in, I'll just check on that.
Alright, I'll just make these changes again quickly in this version of the file, and then so what branch on here? Whoops. So again, I'll just run git checkout, create my branch. Okay, so some of you got that message, yeah? So I'll just force it for now. Cool. So hopefully when we go back to our GitHub now, so go back to GitHub, get your seasonal cuisine repo back up, go into settings. Yep, so just click on settings tab, scroll down, under GitHub pages, make sure you select the GitHub pages branch, and then, has anyone got that message appearing yet, or your site is being deployed or something like that? Any message at all? Have you saved it? Is that a yes? You've got it, or yes?
Yes,
Okay, awesome, awesome. So have you now got your site is published at a certain thing? So it should be your username .github.io then /seasonal cuisine. So you should be able to click on that. Why is that looking like that? So that was just displaying the README, wasn't it? Let's have a look, see if that displays the README. Okay, so that's obviously not displaying our site as we want. So what we've got in React, I hear my echo, is another little package which helps us set up our GitHub pages. So if I go back to my package.json, and you will see that there's another dev dependency here installed. So if you look at your package.json file, you should have 2 extra scripts here that aren't usually there with most Create React app applications. Deploy and pre-deploy. So what we can do is when we're on the branch that we want to deploy, we can simply run npm run deploy. Has everyone got those two scripts in their package.json? Because it won't work obviously if you haven't. And once that process has gone through, that should have correctly built and deployed our app for us. So if we now check again, yeah, that's set up with the Kadiri one, isn't it? That's why I'm not seeing my changes. Well, I'm not quite sure why that's not reflecting our changes at the moment.
That looks like the repo file from...
It is the README file, yeah, indeed.
I've got the GitHub pages running on the, the branch before the push was done.
Say again, sorry?
So that repo already had GH pages branch on it. So it's got quite different files from last.
So you're saying that the file structures...
Yeah, it's got a very, very different file structure. So,
I mean, has our commit actually been...
So if you push your changes from master to...
So here's our commit that happened 4 minutes ago. Yeah? So we should... We're just getting the README. Who's got their simple site that we wanted to try and deploy on GitHub pages as well? Hold on, what's your mate's name, Danny?
Carl.
Carl? No? No, you don't want to? Okay, I was going to use that instead, but alright. Say again, sorry?
It's just showing the page.
Just the README, yeah. Let me have a little think, and we will go for the Heroku deployment instead. So, if you'll log into Heroku, so one of the disadvantages of GitHub Pages is your site does have to be a static one-page site, effectively, for it to properly be hosted on GitHub Pages. So we can get around that by using a different service like Heroku. So once you're in there, I mean, essentially they have an amazing walkthrough themselves, so we'll just follow along the steps there. We already have Node.js and npm installed locally. So So what we need to install for Heroku is the command line interface. Depending on your platform, there's various instructions there. So if you just follow the relevant instructions for your own platform. And then again we can check whether that's installed from our terminal back in Visual Studio. So let me all know when you've got the command line interface installed. Say again, sorry? Yep, so you can just check whether Heroku is installed by typing Heroku-V. Whoops, wrong one. And then we've done most of these steps. We've already cloned our repo. So what we're interested in is actually deploying the app. So as you can see there, the first command that we need to create, that we need to run is Heroku create. Is everyone there or need a bit longer? You got the Heroku CLI installed? You're doing what, sorry? No, we've already done that step and move for our seasonal cuisine, so we're trying to deploy seasonal cuisine to Heroku. Yeah.
Sorry.
and then you should be able to do the command line.
If some of you are struggling to find the get started documentation on Heroku, then there should be a little menu button somewhere. Click on documentation. Node.js is the environment we're using. And then, yeah, just get started really. Okay, so I think most people now have got the CLI installed. How about you two in the corner? Did we get it in the end or not quite? Yeah, awesome, awesome. Okay, so next we're on to deploying the app. So come back to our project. And we should just be able to type Heroku create. And what that has done is that has set a new remote up that we can push to. It's set a new Heroku remote up here. So first I'm just going to test our app locally again. Okay, so that looks fine. No changes because I'm still on the master. I don't think I made changes on the master. Okay, and if you need to stop that server, just type Control-C. And then, let's try pushing to Heroku instead. And then when we do, we should find that we have some projects sitting there. So just something to note here. Because when I typed Heroku create, I didn't give my app a name for Heroku. So you can see here I've got this really strange name, Evening Oasis -199 whatever, yeah? So that's just assigned me a random name for my project, which isn't very useful, to be honest, yeah? So instead, I'm going to run the Heroku create command again, and this time give it the name of my app that I want to use. So we could do seasonal cuisine. Now that's creating seasonal cuisine, which is a lot more useful. And if we go back to our Heroku dashboard, I would have hoped. Have I not done any others? Huh? It says what, sir? Oh, of course it is, yeah, because it's not our app, is it? Thank you, I didn't see that, so it's already taken. So let's call it deployment demo Kadiri. Hopefully not taken. Looks better. Okay, and now you can see it's come up with our correct name there. So at the moment there's nothing inside it because we haven't actually pushed our files there. So let's give that a go. So let's just write a commit message. So first deployment of seasonal cuisine to Heroku. Say demo. So commit and push to, and make sure when you do push to that you push to Heroku rather than GitHub. That will take a little bit of time to begin with because it is the first time we've done it, and it does have to build all our project on Heroku. We can see that's just still working up here by the little tracking bar. If you click on your actual project name that you've assigned in Heroku anyway, you will see the latest activity, and when it has been deployed there will be some new activity here showing our deployment with our commit. Still going. So it can be best to do these things via the command line if you're not sure whether it's going to work or not, and then we'd at least get some logs and some feedback. So we might try that in a second. Oh, no, hold on. So I think I might have pushed to our lovely Evening Oasis one. Let's go and have a look. But hopefully you pushed to the correct one. There we go. So after you've pushed, you'll see that the build was successful and then it has been deployed. Okay, that's great. Where can we actually view our app? Well, there will be a little open app link. And there it is on the web for everyone to see. So if anyone typed in that link, oh, I can't zoom in that bit. But if anyone typed in that link anywhere in the world, they would be able to access this site. You need to go? Yeah, right. Hopefully you can just get through the last of that Heroku bit at home if you didn't. Okay, yeah, awesome. Yeah, thanks very much. Thanks for coming. Cheers. Yep. Okay, let's have a look. Just check everyone's on the same page. we get any deployment? Alright, how are people for time? Like, have you got plans this evening, or do you want to have a look at something else, or?
Also, can you talk a little bit about the different deployment options?
Yeah, we can talk a little bit about that, yeah. If you want to look at those, yeah. Just talk about the different deployment options that we've got. Cool, so now we've seen just two really easy ways to get something deployed, but there are some drawbacks to this, obviously. The most glaringly obvious one is probably your domain names up here. So they've either got GitHub in them, or this one's got Heroku in them, so that's just a curse of the free deployment that you get with these. Heroku obviously offers paid plans, and you can set up your own domain name as well, but just for the free option, that is there. Yeah, Heroku's been around a long time, offering sort of platform, offering your platform as a service deployment options. There's many other. I'll show you a good little list actually. It just summarizes them all. So I'll leave it open for now. I think. Where have I put it? Maybe. No, I think that's just a list of. Yeah, a list of providers that host Node applications. It wasn't what I was looking for actually. Yeah, I mean, you've probably heard of some other deployment options, right? So what have you heard of? You've heard of Amazon AWS? What other things have you heard of?
I guess the major cloud providers, right?
So like the Google Cloud Platform. Yeah. So they all offer free plans as well, and obviously their setup tends to be a little bit more involved than what we've done tonight. But yeah, they're the more sort of professional offerings, if you like, out there. Yeah, so I mean that's the major drawback, I suppose, with all of those three over what we've done tonight is the setup is a bit more involved, but obviously the speed's a lot better once you're up and running. I mean, Heroku is built on AWS itself, so that sort of runs as an extra layer on top of AWS. So it abstracts away a lot of that complex setup and enables you to deploy apps very, very easily. But yeah, the free plan offers a few drawbacks, as you can see.
Okay, so in general, Heroku compared to AWS would be simpler but more expensive.
Simple setup, it is more expensive, exactly. Yeah, it is a little bit more expensive. It's a huge topic. So I was just going to see if they could summarize it here for us. Yeah, most of the main providers support a range of languages on the back end now, so it's not really a consideration. You should be able to find, a hosting provider you need that provides for the language that you develop in. One other big consideration perhaps is databases and what they come with as default. So certain providers will come with sort of NoSQL databases as default, things like MongoDB. Others will come perhaps with your older, well, I say older, but your other option with your SQL, your SQL databases. And yeah, obviously depending on how you've got your database set up, that might influence your choice of provider. Unfortunately, I can't find my lovely summarized link that I had for you. I don't know where I've saved it. Not where I wanted to. Is it going to be in there? No.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, if you just look at Amazon AWS, they do have free options as well. It tends to be a trial. So I think you've got 12 months trial at the moment. And obviously there's a huge amount of products and tools that help you develop with. So again, the biggest providers perhaps have more tools that assist you. One of the big drawbacks as well with things like Heroku and not necessarily GitHub Pages, but certainly with Heroku, is the server goes to sleep basically because it's a free plan. So the first time someone connects, if someone hasn't connected in the previous 30 minutes, will be very, very slow because it has to boot up the server again, take the server out of sleeping state. So that will obviously make accessing apps like apps on Heroku a lot slower initially. But it's just great for proof of concept, really, for getting something on the web, displaying it. Yeah, it's just that exciting first step, really. And GitHub Pages and Heroku are probably two of the easiest offerings for that. I did mention Glitch, so this is another free offering with a little bit of an inbuilt IDE in it as well. It is linked to GitHub now, so you can import and export things from GitHub. I was just playing around with this. I haven't really got anything on there, but you can at least see. So I was just playing around with a little Express app on the back end, but you can at least see that you've got a bit of an option here to edit code in the live view, and then click on that button there, boom, and your site's there straight away. And this URL, anyone could again go to that URL and access that website. So that's pretty useful. I think they're using it quite a bit now with kids to teach them how to code. Yeah, so you can see all your files just there as if you were in Visual Code Studio. You can edit, you can edit them just as you would here. So it's essentially a little IDE built into the program, and then there's just a show button there to take you through to the actual URL and display whatever it was you were writing. So I think that's pretty nice for just making very quick changes, and there is the functionality now as well to import and export advanced options, import from GitHub, export to GitHub. So if you built something here or vice versa, then you can just switch between the two, and you can also just download the project, a nice easy link as well. Yeah, so that's another option you might want to consider, just to get something up there quick and easy. But if you will give me just a few more minutes of your time, then yeah, hold on, let me just sign out. Cool. So I just wanted to show you sorry, not showing off. just wanted to show you just a few things on our platform here. So now you've all registered on our platform, so I just thought I'd show you a few other things that it offers you for free. So the main thing really is the training here. Yeah, I can have a quick go. So here we've just developed some training and some challenges here at Kadiri just to help beginner JavaScript developers improve their skills, basically. Not necessarily beginners, obviously it starts at beginners, but we have some expert challenges as well, and we're testing the platform next week with some senior developers, so we'll see how they get on with our challenges and see whether they're hard enough for the expert level, and obviously amend them if necessary. So on here, just for free for you guys, if you're wanting to learn a bit more JavaScript, then we've broken it down into some common areas that are crucial to understanding of the language. So we've got things like strings, mathematical operations, if-else statements, so conditionals, nice modern way to write conditionals with our ternary operators, one here on objects, so very fundamental opposite to JavaScript, find, filter, so some array functions, and just functions in general. Yeah, so we've developed a platform here, so let's just have a quick look at objects. If we play the test again there, so this is our little interactive window that we can code in and submit our results and get some feedback on some challenges really. So, what's your JavaScript like? Anyone want to give me some answers to some of these questions? So just a really basic one. So we're just trying to get the first name out of an object. So on the left hand side here, we see the invocation of the function. So our job is to write the function. So we've got the invocation of the function over here, and we're passing an object as an argument, and we just want to return whatever's after the three equal statements. So in other words, from calling first name, then we want to return Peter. How would I write the function to do that? So this is our traditional setup for most of our questions. We've got a little say again? Oh yeah, I thought you had the answer for me. No? Dot first name. So what? I just write dot first name or return. Nice. And then what? So someone said dot first name. So what else do we need? Brackets. What here? The first name inside the brackets. Someone want to help him out, or? Yeah, so how about passing an argument in here? So when we call the function, it does get passed an object. So we haven't referenced that object anywhere. So should we give it a name? Just you're saying put first name in there? Right. Okay, I'm not saying it works, but let's just actually evaluate that code and see what we get. Yeah. So up here, we've got a few functions. We can just share feedback about the questions. So if you've got any queries on the platform itself or on a particular question, just share a bit of feedback with us, and we'll try and improve that. This is obviously your timer counting down. Reset will wipe out the code you've written so far and just let you start again if you get really stuck and muddled. Skip will skip that question. Our blue one evaluates it, so that's what we're going to use now. So when we click evaluate, it evaluates it against our expected results. So we can see that when we wrote this function, then the result of calling that function was this here. You returned all of that. Yeah, so we returned an object, first name Peter, last name Lewis. So in other words, we just returned the object that got passed in the first place, yeah? Because we called that object first name. So obviously this offers you really useful feedback. So it runs your code and gives you whatever the function is returned. So then you can see, oh, okay, how did I go wrong there? Let's try and edit my code so I can get the correct result. There's also an elegance console down here. As you can see, we're missing a semicolon. That's because I had it like that to begin with, so just for elegance reasons. They're not required now in modern JavaScript, but to write what we call more elegant code, or just so that the maximum number of people understand it and enjoy working with you rather than this person writes really strange code, then we give you some little tips so that everyone follows roughly a similar standard. Yes, this is based on ESLint, which a lot of people use to check their code. So if we just called that person for the whole object, could we return person dot first name? So I think you said dot first name to begin with, so maybe that was what you were trying to get at. So what does that now do? Yeah, so that's now returning the correct result. This first one returned Peter, and the second one returned Marie. Yeah, so just some fundamentals of JavaScript there. How do we access the properties of an object? Oops. And when you're done, you move on to the next question and give that a go, basically. Yeah, so there's 5 questions you get to do in an hour. Hopefully that would be a really useful tool for some people to train their JavaScript. Obviously, if you're a bit more advanced, they do get a lot harder than that, but that's some really good first steps. We have created little videos on YouTube to help with each question, and also just some resources here that link to maybe MDM or W3 Schools or some resource on the web. Yeah, so again, you can see, not quite sure why that's out of focus. There we go. So a very similar setup there. So lots of learning resources anyway for free that you now have access to because you've registered for the platform. So I hope they'll be of some use for you. And then the other thing that might be of use to you, I didn't mean kadiri.com, I meant YouTube. Cool, so there you can see all the past videos and workshops that we've done as well, all freely accessible on YouTube. Yeah, so plenty of resources there hopefully to help you improve your coding. And yeah, sorry for a few issues we had tonight, but yeah, we'll look at getting those improved for the next one, and I'd welcome sort of any feedback from you guys. But I was probably going to leave it there unless you've got any particular questions or things you want to look at. Yeah? Alright. I can set up a coding challenge if you want to do a coding challenge quickly. Or we can go and play some table tennis, have some drinks. Or...
When is the workshop on React?
Say again? The workshop on when? Good question. I would have to check Meetup. I think we do it about once a month. So the last one was here, wasn't it? What's the date on that one? Or is that just the DOM? Oh no, sorry, that was a workshop someone did today, my mistake. So so I think probably in 3 weeks' time will be the next React, but we can check Meetup if you want quickly. So we've got a meeting about our bootcamp tomorrow. Have you looked on Meetup, or is it not there yet? Here we go. So Tuesday, February the 5th. So actually a bit sooner. Yeah. So that's the next one on React. So I think Ricardo might be doing that one. So that's the guy who set up the company. So he's a React expert. He transferred over from Angular, one of the first guys pretty much in the world to start using Angular, and then he's switched over to React now. So 15 years plus knowledge he's got in the industry. So a really good guy to learn from. So that's February the 5th if you guys are interested in learning a bit more about React. So that was what we could see that these guys had built their project with. So I think they used create React app to skeleton it, and then yeah, you can see building components, building stateful components, stateless components, lots of things going on there. So yeah, here delve into a lot more detail of that and write just a basic app from scratch on that. Any other questions? Cool. Well, thank you very much.